Tony Smurfit is the CEO of Smurfit Kappa. The clue is in the name. Tony, thank you very much for joining us today. Great pleasure to have you on Squawk Box. I'm just taking a look at some of the, we gave the headline numbers, but I'm just taking a look at the commentary here, because always the devil is in the details. And you say that there are greater uncertainties than we have seen for some time. Tell us what the greatest uncertainty is for your business now.
Well, I think, as you said, Mandy, we had an excellent quarter and an excellent first half with a stellar performance across every metric. But that said, I mean, we're not immune to seeing what's happening in the world, and clearly the war in Russia and the consequent effect on energy prices is making an uncertain outlook. But overall, we're still very well positioned. We have acted early on inflationary costs. I think it's actually a year ago when I was on this show that there was two camps. One was saying that there was transitory inflation, and there was another saying that this is real inflation. And we in our company believe that this was real inflation, and we were acting very early on that. So we were ahead of the curve, so to speak. So we have been raising our prices to ensure that we capture all of the massive input cost pressures that we've had throughout all of last year and to the first half of this year. That's continuing, of course, Mandy, with the issues that you know about: supply chain constraints, energy prices, rising costs of all raw materials. They're continuing, and shortage of labor. So there's a lot of headwinds out there. But as I say, in the first 6 months, we've recognized that those headwinds were there, and we still recognize they're there, and we're continuing to act on those and making sure that our shareholders and our company performs adequately in those circumstances.
So you've been raising your prices so far, and it sounds by inference that you've been able to successfully pass them on to the consumer. How much more do you think you're going to have to raise prices, Tony? Or do you feel that, and we were speaking a moment ago with Wholesome, who actually said that in the second quarter they felt that, at least for them, that cost inflation had peaked. When do you see a peak in your cost inflation?
Well, I think it's difficult to say at the moment. I mean, energy prices in the last week have gone up by about 30–40%. You know, that's obviously on the spot market. We're somewhat hedged to be able to offset a lot of that. But we're still seeing very strong supply constraints across the piece, especially with logistics, transportation. I don't know if it's peaked. It probably can't get much higher than this. But whether there's any relief in the offing, I'm not sure. I think we're going to see this for a considerable period of time, unless there is a massive economic slowdown caused by those factors, which obviously would give some relief.
Credit where it's due, Tony. We found ourselves in accord about inflation and about the appalling performance of central banks in calling it correctly. So well done to you for that one as well. Quick word, Tony, why are your shares trading down 33% this year with your EBITDA up 50%?
Steve, it's an excellent question. You know, at the end of the day, we've performed incredibly well over the last number of years. If you run that chart out over a considerable period of time, we've done very well. And if you actually go back to the start of the war, you know, we were at an all-time high and expecting to push higher given the outlook for our business. And for some reason or another, the market has decided that us, even worse than our competitors, should be punished because of what's going on. We don't have that much exposure in Germany to energy. About 11% of our business, our paper business, is purely exposed to gas if there was some gas interruption, which is, of course, it's significant, but it's not a huge amount. Equally, we've got massive offsetting situation in our Latin American business, which is not subject to the same sort of issues that are hitting Europe with regard to energy. So it's difficult for me to understand. I mean, you know, all CEOs say they don't look at their share prices, but of course I do, and I'm very frustrated by it. I'm very frustrated, as my management are, because we're all significant shareholders in the company. But you know, we hope that if we continue to deliver the kind of performance we delivered in the first half, that this will eventually right itself and we'll get back on track, and the market will give us credit for what we're doing.
Once again, love you being candid, Tony. I know all CEOs constantly look at their share price, but very few of them actually admit to it. So again, spot on that one. Look, I did look at the share price on a longer term chart, and they're roughly where they were in 2018 as well. So it has been tough, but not just for you. As you point out, the whole industry is suffering. So is this a good opportunity to pick up companies that have also seen their share price smashed?
I think if valuations come down, I think acquisitions have been part of our DNA throughout our history, and we've done a couple over the last number of years that have been, very successful. I think that as part of our DNA, if those acquisitions come at the right price, I mean, you know us, Steve, a long time, and we don't overpay. So if the price is right, we'll step in, and if the deal is right, we will do it. But it has to be at the right valuation.
Tony, you've been, at the forefront of talking about sustainable packaging solutions, but, CEOs throw the word sustainability around, quite liberally. So talk to me about what that actually means in material terms, because your key material is, of course, paper packaging, and we've had recycled paper as a packaging solution for decades. Is there anything else on the horizon that is better than that?
Simply speaking, no, Mandy. I mean, paper packaging is renewable, recyclable, and biodegradable. So the little bit of recycled paper that is not captured in the recycling loop just biodegrades, whereas obviously fossil fuel waste doesn't. So clearly, we feel we're in a very strong position, and our customers do too. That's why there's still a very long-term great trend for our business, not just for Smurfit Kappa, but for our business in corrugated packaging. And you see legislation moving in that direction, and you see our customers strongly looking for opportunities to move away from fossil fuel based packaging towards our paper-based packaging. So we feel, incredibly confident about the future and the amount of projects that we have on to move our product forward. So there isn't a replacement for the simple corrugated box, and that simple corrugated box is getting more complex because of the colors that we're needed to put onto it to make it more merchandising, to help in the whole supply chain, to reduce costs in the supply chain. So, we're in a very, very good place, notwithstanding the fact that obviously, I'm looking at the same news that you guys are talking about all the time, that the world is looking at a more difficult place than it did a year ago.
Indeed it is, Tony. Wise words. Tony Smurfit, CEO of Smurfit Kappa. Thank you very much for joining us.